Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, and Real Live with your host, myself, Damon the Agent, where I come into you with the latest real estate information. Today is Friday, May 10th, 2024, and this is episode 102. Thank you all for joining me. Please, like always, follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. You don't stop. All right, you all. As always, I start my show by talking about the latest world of real estate. And today I am going to talk about stale listings. And some of you may be like, what is a stale listing? A stale listing is actually when a house has been sitting on the market for substantially amount of time and it has not sold. And after a while that a house has been on the market, that house actually becomes stale, meaning when it sits on the market too long, people wonder what's going on with the house. What's wrong with the house? Why hasn't the house sold? And there are many reasons why that happens. Here are a few examples why a house that's been put on the market becomes a stale listing. A lot of times, the house becomes a stale listing because the house is overpriced. Yes, overpriced. Sometimes you have some homeowners who feel as though that they know more than some real estate professionals, so they will want to price their home high higher than what the market dictates. So, for example, some homeowners feel as though that their house is better, and to be honest with you, all homeowners think their house is better than the neighbor house, whether they say it or not. So if a house is sold across the street for X amount of dollars, for whatever reason, the homeowners feel like they can get more than that house is actually sold instead of allowing the real estate professional to advise them. So sometimes when houses are overpriced, a lot of times it's of the because of in many cases the homeowner wanting it to be on the market for a certain amount of time. Most real estate professionals are experts as far as pricing houses, so most knows how to price it accordingly. But sometimes you may have people, because they have all this available information such as Zillow, Redfin, so they can go on the various websites, and then they choose to actually become the in their self, in their mind, the professional. They watch HGTV. So many houses will be overpriced. And then if a house is sitting on the market for a long time and it's overpriced, then sometimes it's harder to sell because now today's prices are not the same as yesterday prices, and yesterday prices are not the same as today's prices. So a lot of times the houses that are overpriced, they sit for a while and they become a stale listing. Another reason why these houses sit on the market is the house does not show well at all. Now, unbeknownst to a lot of you all, sometimes you can see a house on the outside, but what's on the inside determines whether a person is going to actually buy. This is the reason why you all may see many houses that are actually staged. The reason why houses are staged is to give some buyers an insight on what a house will look like if it's decorated a certain way, if it also has bedding, the size of furniture, because some people cannot dictate this if their furniture can fit. But when they go into a property that's staged, they tend to realize, oh yeah, our bed is bigger than this, our dresser is smaller, and that they realize that they can make the necessary adjustments. But in many cases, while the houses are sitting on the market, is because they do not show well at all. This is the reason why many real estate professionals will always tell homeowners to please declutter your property and have it shown ready for buyers. Many times we may sit in our homes and people may put their shoes by the door, or they may not pick up their, mail off the table. But those things can be actually an eyesore to buyers. Your house should always be showing ready if you put it on the market. If it is not showing ready, you cannot assume people are going to understand that, oh, you're a working professional and that, they should buy the house or whatever, because that's not how people look at things. Because interest rate has been, in the past have gone up a little bit, people want to be able to move into a ready and willing and able home. So with that being said, those even though the furniture and the stuff may be yours, people cannot always stay focused on certain things. So when you go into a house, if there's any distractions to a person, such as a messy house, certain pictures on the wall, anything that's extra, those things, unbeknownst to you all, sometimes take away the focus of the potential buyer. So buyers tend to not pay attention to, like, okay, we came in here to actually look at the house, but oh yeah, I'm distracted by that over there on the wall, or this house is real junky or whatever. So they'll actually leave. And then another reason why the houses sit on the market longer is sometimes the neighborhoods. Some neighborhoods can be challenging for some people. I had one potential buyer that pulled up to a property recently, and she saw some activity going on in the neighborhood, and she didn't even want to go into the house. So because of that, that could be a deterrent for people. And that's another reason why actually people sometimes don't want to buy a property. So the neighborhood can play a huge role. Like if it's a crime-ridden area, I remember a couple of years ago, I had a house on the market in Baltimore, and the house was relatively in a good location. It was relatively cheap as well too, but there was too much going on that block. There was things going on in the alley behind the house. The neighbor wasn't all that friendly. Unfortunately, someone had passed away across the street, so it was a crime-ridden area. Because it was a crime-ridden area, even though not too far from it was the hospital, a university, and more, people did not want to purchase that home. It took a while before that home actually sold. And then another reason why homes would tend to sit on the market longer would be basically because they're not centrally located near things such as public transportation, grocery stores, or they're just way out. So all of these things can contribute to a house being on the market for a long time and the listing actually becoming a stale listing. In order to actually sell a property and get top dollar for it and sell it for the quickest amount possible, it's always best to speak with your local realtor or real estate professional so they can advise you. Because when it pertains to real estate, understand that the prices and everything else is always relative to location, 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 and what's going on locally. Everything that's going on locally in your particular area may not be going on the same in another area. So please keep these things in mind if you're looking to put your house on the market so that you don't have a stale listing. Because once the house has been on the market for roughly over a month, which is over 30 days, that really is going into the stages of it being stale, just like bread. Bread gets hard after a while. You haven't eaten in a certain amount of time, you haven't eaten it when it's been fresh, it becomes stale. The same thing happens with houses. If it hasn't sold in a certain amount of time, it becomes stale. So this is what we call a stale listing, when a house hasn't moved and there's various reasons why it has not moved. Because in my eyes, everything is sellable. Every property is sellable. It's just about the price, the location, the condition of the property on the inside. Now, um, these things play a huge factor, but 9 times out of 10, price and the condition of the property on the inside are the top two deterrents of why houses stay on the market longer and that they actually become stale listings. So I'm about to come back with my Q&A segment. That's my questions and answers. If you all have any questions that you'll want to have answered, please feel free to send me the questions. Coming back. All right, I'm back with my Q&A. Last week, I tend to miss a question, so I'm gonna give it a few seconds just so I can double check everything. But in the meantime, I'm going to answer the questions that I relatively have right in front of me. So the first question of the day is, are estate sales sold as is? Are estate sales sold as is? I touched on estate sales last week, so this question is coming from last week. Yes, estate sales are sold as is, and the reason being is with an estate sale, the person is no longer alive who owned the home, so it becomes an estate. Because the person is no longer alive, they can't warrant any changes or warrant any conditions of the property. So once it's sold as is. And that's why a lot of time the price is justified. The price is justified based off the condition of the inside of the home. So yes, most estates properties are sold as is. All right. The next question is, what is the difference between a single family home and a townhome? What is the difference between a single family home and a townhome? That's a good question. A single family home normally sits by itself. It is not attached to any other houses on the left or right of it, meaning it's not attached like touching. No houses are touching on the right or left of a single family home. A townhome tends to have a house touching it either on the left or right or both. And in many cases, townhouses also have an HOA, which is a homeowner association fee, and a homeowner association. They try to be a little bit close knit. In some situations and circumstances, some single family communities do also have an HOA, a homeowner association, and a homeowner association fee. But in most cases, most single family homes do not, and most HOA homes do. So the difference between a single family home and a townhouse is that the townhouses have a house attached to it on the left or right, or maybe both, and a single family house does not. All right, let me check to see if I have any more questions before I hold on. Hold on, y'all. I'll make sure I get all these questions in today. Because last week, I don't know what happened. So let me see. All right. Okay. One more question. One more question. All right. I get this question a lot. When will the interest rate go down? And like I said, most real estate professionals get that question a lot. When will the interest rate go down? Here's the thing about interest rates. Interest rates are not the only determining number in the equation. You'll have to understand that there are other numbers involved, like the purchase price of the home, like the price of the home, how much closings is going to be, what your monthly mortgage payment is going to be, interest rate. There are a number of factors when it pertains to number. I think sometimes people are so focused on interest rate that they're missing the picture. Like, for example, the interest rate is floating around 7.25, I believe. Okay. Let's say hypothetically the interest rate came down 5% to 2%. I'm just using this all as an example so to hopefully give you all a picture. So let's say the interest rate came down to 2%. That's 5%. That's a 5% difference, right? Okay. But last year alone, the prices of houses have gone up over 8 and over 10% in the state of Maryland alone. In DC, it went up over 12%. So let's use the math again. If something has gone up 10%, but something else has gone down 5%, and the one has gone up 10%, do you really think you're saving money by waiting for one of these numbers to drop? You're actually going to lose money because in the long run, because it's continuously going up, that when it does, if it does stop and tend to come down, it may come down, but still may not come down to where it is right now. So let's say, for example, I'm going to use this for the sake of simplicity. Let's say a house is priced at 500,000. And then with the 500,000, it is a 10% increase, which is 50,000. So that'll be 550,000 that has gone up in a year. Okay, from 500,000 to 550,000. Then it goes up another 10% in a year. So now it's at 605. Okay, so now we have gone from 500,000 to 550 to 550 to 605. But then let's say at 605, it's reached its peak and it tends to come down. So then once it comes down, let's say it comes down 10%. I'm gonna use that. That's 65,000, right? So came down 65,000 down to 540. Okay. So the 540 is still higher than the 500 where we started at. But people don't see that because they're so focused on interest rate. They should always look at the entire package, because now they have programs that assist with buying down the interest rate. It's called a buy down program. You just have to speak with a realtor and speak with a local lender who may assist you with finding out more information on that. But where there's a will, there's a way. If you're looking to be a homeowner, it is strongly advised to speak to a real estate professional such as myself or anyone that you feel is locally, and we can properly guide you. I don't have any problem helping anyone. You all can always reach out to me. My websites are DamonSalesDMV.com, also DamonTheAgent.com. And you can always reach me at 202-618-1382. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. So I just want you all to know, if you're looking to be a homeowner, please do not wait. Time waits for no man nor woman. You're going to miss out, and the prices are going to be substantially higher then. This is 2024. Go back to 2019, just 5 years ago, right before COVID. Compare the prices of houses then compared to the prices of houses now. So what do you think is going to be 10 years? I'm sorry, 5 years from now? Just want you all to think about that. And again, please reach out. All of this is about information. Everything out here in the world, such as houses, are always at your resources. Where there's a will, there's a way. And when there's people who can help you, all you have to do is hold a conversation. But you know what I'm saying, understand, have to put in a little bit of effort yourself to get your goals, because things don't magically happen like you may see on HGTV. Just want you all to know that. So let me see if I have any more Q&A. Hold on. Okay. All right. So give me 1 second and I'll be right back. All right. My topic of today is called Family Feud. When the families feud. I just wanted to briefly talk about that topic because I've seen recently that so many families are at odds these days. People can't get along within the family, whether it's siblings, whether it's parents, whether it's siblings to their parents, parents to their siblings. And it just made me think a lot of things, like, a lot of these disagreements or self-family hatred or over petty situations. A lot of times people don't have the necessary conversation to fix the problem. A lot of times it's pride that get in the way. A lot of times it's people saying, oh, I don't want to talk to them, and because they never talk to them, this hatred or anger towards that person lingers on for years. And it's unfortunately because in this world that we live in, family is the closest thing that you should have when it pertains to having someone in your corner, someone being for you, there for you. It's crazy how sometimes we can have people in our own family that are against us. We can have strangers that are for us. We can have people that we love so much one day and hate so much the other. That's why they're saying it's a thin line between love and hate, because that strong feeling and passion, it's only separated by a thin line. And I say all this to say that, a lot of these odds that we have, they're over money, they're over children, they're over dispute, they're over people taking advantage, people being lazy, people being selfish, people being ungrateful, people being unappreciative. And it just made me just think, like, why are we like this as people? I see it a lot, and of course, because I'm an African American man, I see it a lot amongst my community. And it's like I see other things and we have no unity, no stick to itiveness with us, no anything. And it's just sad because when I look at our history, our forefathers, our great grandparents, they endured so much for us. I know they turning over in their graves looking at the way that we live today, because we have come a long way after segregation, but we've also gone backwards a long way as well too, because of the mindset of us. A lot of us get freedom, don't know how to act like uncivilized, savage animals. The one thing that I hate about my culture, my race, is whenever there's a group of my culture, my race, it usually leads to a fight or a shootout, which is crazy. Where's the love? There's too much jealousy and envy amongst our people, and especially amongst our family. A lot of times, you may have people in your family not speaking to you because you're trying to become a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday. But sometimes the people in your family, because you're moving forward and you're progressing, they get jealous and envy for some reason. And they start to say, oh, you think you're better. But you're not trying to be better than them. You're trying to be better today than you were actually yesterday. But people don't seem to understand that, because the one thing that I've learned in my years on this earth is mindset dictates everything. And a lot of times, as your mindset grows and you learn more, you get more information. That means you become better in all that you do. Some people never get more information. That's why they stay where they're at. Have you ever gone to the neighborhood that you grew up in, or go somewhere where you used to hang at? And sometimes you may spot one or two people who were there when you were younger or when you were much younger, and they're still there. That because they never grown mentally. Maturity is not just age. Maturity is about growth. It's about learning. It's about evolving. It's about becoming better in all you do. Maturity is also about mindset. It's about mindset, helping you to progress, helping you to do the things in this world that you set out to do, that you know you were meant to do. But what you have to understand is your mindset may have evolved while people in your family mindset have stand still. So I say that to say that when it pertains to the family feud that goes on in your family, pray for your family, because they say pray for your enemies. And I know it's hard to pray for your enemies, but pray for your family, because your family is really not your enemy. Sometimes it's not about the flesh, it's about the spirit that's going on with so many people. That's why you can see certain behavior traits in several people, regardless. You got some people who are selfish by nature. You have some people who are mean by nature. You have some people who have just a bad mindset by nature. A lot of people who are in this world who are killers and pedophiles and rapists. I'm pretty sure their parents, before they were born, who planned them, didn't think they were going to have that type of child or person in the world. But unfortunately, there are certain things that we can instill in our family members and our kids. We can instill certain things, like you always have good people in the family and you always have bad people in the family. You always have those who want and those who don't care. You always have those who strive to be better and those who don't care to be better. So when it pertains to family and the family feuds, my thing is this though. When you go to that cookout this summer, when you go to the family reunion, when you go to a gathering and you see your family member, just speak, even though you don't want to, because saying hello and everything is the iceberg that can break down many barriers and walls within your family that you fail to realize. Because the one thing that I've seen also is people who've been feuding with people in their family. When you ask them, have you spoken to them? Most of them say, no, I don't want to speak to them. But if you speak to both sides and you hear what they have to say, you find out it's a small misunderstanding that could have been solved with some simple communication, with less than 5 minutes of talking. It could have been resolved. A lot of times we have so much pride that we don't even try to talk because we think we know it all. Because somewhere along the line in our life, we've been told how smart we were, how intelligent we were. So that has gone to our head. So now we don't want anyone to correct us or tell us when we're wrong. But let me just be the first to tell you, you're dead wrong if you have a family member, especially when it pertains to kids and parents. You're dead wrong if you think that you don't owe your parents anything. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some deadbeat parents out here, and that goes for mothers and fathers and everything. But the one thing you have to realize is staying angry at your parents doesn't help you go anywhere. You have to always forgive your parents and move on with your life. God will take care of your parents and anyone else. And I'm going to leave on that note, because next week I'm going to talk about um, mothers. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to share some information about my mother. So next week, I'm going to talk about that. So again, when it pertains to the family feud, I just want you all to know that no one wins when the family feuds. Family doesn't grow. Strength is in unity. If we were together, we can have so much more, starting with your family. And it's crazy because when you start your family, you have so much love for your family. Then as the family gets bigger, the love turns to hate. Don't know why, but it does. So just wanted to say no one wins when the family feuds. So I'm going to come back with a recap. Okay, y'all. Thank you for joining me as always. Just want to remind you all to please follow me on all social media platforms. Please follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and also TikTok. Um, and it's always slash Damon the Agent. You can always find me on DamonTheAgent.com, also DamonSellsDMV.com. So let me do a quick recap. The recap is stale listings. Stale listings basically is when it's overpriced, doesn't show well, not in a good area, remotely away from public transportation or to all the amenities. These things happen all the time. That's why sometimes some of these properties are sitting on the market forever because everyone thinks their house is better than a neighbor because the neighbor sold their house for X amount of dollars. But truth be told, it's not. It's not always better than the neighbors. It really depends on the condition of your home, depends on the condition of the price, depends on a lot of things. But those are stale listings. And I finished it off with when the family feuds. No one wins when the family feuds, but there are too many families nowadays at all. Too many families that don't even speak to each other. How you not like how you can't speak to your family, but you can speak to a stranger? Never gets me because your family, whether it's your parents or whatever, was there for you before you became who you are right now. But the funny thing is about life is people forget where they come from, but life has a way of knocking everyone down to remind you and to humbling you because everyone gets humble at some point in time in life. So when it pertains to your loved ones, please remember they're your blood, and blood is thicker than water. So always just say you love them to them. And just understand that a small conversation can be the difference as far as mending old feud between family members. Thank you again. I'll see you next Saturday. Next Friday, same time, 12 noon. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you.